You're listening to the Today's Family Lawyer podcast, the leading source of daily news and insight for family law practitioners in England and Wales. Sign up to our free weekly newsletter at todaysfamilylawyer.co.uk and subscribe to hear all the latest news and views from across the family law sector. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Hello, welcome along to the latest Today's Family Lawyer podcast. Today I'm chatting about resolution together. What is it? How does it work? And what impact is it having on alternative dispute resolution and family law? I'm chatting about this with Lisa Payne. Lisa is an associate at Wilsons Solicitors. It's great to have you on the podcast, Lisa. Thanks so much for joining.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, in the first instance, you're going to tell me a bit about resolution together, but I'd like you to tell me a bit about yourself, please. What's your practice area and what's your background?
Sure, thank you. So, as you kindly introduced me as, I'm an associate at Wilsons Solicitors. We're based in Salisbury, which is our head office. We've got offices in London as well, and I'm in our growing family team. So I specialise in, all areas within the family law area, really. So divorce, separating couples, sorting the finances thereafter, children and the child arrangements. My main focus is on high net worth matters, complex finance matters that could include complex trusts or jurisdiction issues, all areas of family law.
And I said the topic of discussion is this resolution together. It's an initiative that the firm has decided to introduce. In the first instance, talk me through what it is, please, Lisa.
The name resolution together derives from resolutions model and initiative. It was initially introduced by resolution in kind of circa 2022 and has gathered momentum ever since, which is really positive. It's effectively better described as one lawyer, two clients. It's working together with two clients in an amicable forum and an amicable way to reach a mutually beneficial decision. So it's all about being open, working together with your lawyer and arguably a team of professionals as well. So one of the benefits is that you can bring in others such as divorce coaches, family therapists, experts, counsel. It's quite a holistic approach, but effectively it all comes down to one lawyer, two clients, and reaching a mutually beneficial agreement for both of them.
Interesting to hear you say about bringing other people into the conversation, because that's a growing part of family law as far as we can see as an online news publication. It might traditionally have been the case that your family lawyer did everything, but suddenly there's a realization that you're not masters of all trades, you're jacks of most of them, and actually you do need some expertise elsewhere in the course of the matter.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think it takes a lot of confidence sometimes as a family lawyer to say to your client, I don't always know because I'm not a pension expert, and it's so important that you get the right advice from the right people, and you would be doing your client a disservice if you didn't highlight, where they need different advice, whether that's legal advice or whether it's advice in other forms such as family therapy, or whether your client is struggling emotionally. And there may be a specific area within the case that they just can't overcome, and that's quite a hurdle for them. And I, as a family lawyer, can help them with the law and the principles surrounding, but I'm not trained as a divorce coach, a family therapist, a counsellor. So it's explaining to your clients when they would need additional support from others. And then it may be they have that support and advice from others, such as a therapist, let's say, and then they can come back and now they can listen and hear. They don't need to agree, but they can accept the advice that I'm then giving them because they've got over whatever hurdle they couldn't get over before. But that's coming from the emotional side. But yes, whilst I'm equipped in family law, pension advice, as I say, or advice as to investing their money wisely. It's all certain areas which it would be best to tell your client to go off and get other expertise advice. And that's one of the benefits of resolution together, that it can be that, and it is that holistic approach where you've got the sound legal advice from your family lawyer, but we bring in experts and, we sit around the table and we can talk. And it's very cost effective to the clients in that respect, because the process doesn't have to stop. You can say, well, at the next joint meeting, we'll bring a pension expert in and let's have a chat and see what they've got to say. And both parties can then hear what those third parties have to say, rather than taking something at kind of face value and then asking more questions later on down the line. So it's cost effective and saves time.
What's the response from clients been to this initiative? Because I think the traditional view of divorce and of family law is obviously very confrontational, isn't it?
Yeah, I think especially with the introduction of no fault divorce and all the positives that has brought in terms of, the strapline, wasn't it? It was the blame game has been removed, and it was. And I think this is just an organic movement on from that. And it's been really positively welcomed by clients, because now clients understand that, you don't need to blame your spouse. And here I am talking about divorce and finance, but of course, similar principles apply in children law as well. But just talking about divorce and finance, spouses knowing that if their partner has had an affair or they behaved unreasonably, now of course we take all of that into consideration and it may become a factor, but knowing that's not necessarily communicated to the courts of divorce at the outset. I have the kind of impression by most of my clients lately that that's helped them a lot, and they can focus then on resolving the finances and looking at the bigger picture rather than focusing on maybe the reason for the breakdown of the marriage. And this kind of organically leads into, you can divorce together now because we have the joint application. You can resolve your finances together. So, this just, it feels right. It feels the right time to do all of this. And my impression from clients is that it's welcomed and they're asking for this as well now, which is really positive.
Well, that's interesting to hear, because that's not something that I've particularly heard. So where are clients getting this information from? Is it that you're presenting that to them as part of your initial fact find, or is there more information out there for divorcing couples?
I think there's more information out there. So Resolution have obviously had a media push, and you Google Resolution together and information is now out there and it's growing. And of course, lawyers are doing publications, and other family lawyers have introduced it in their practice. So yeah, there's more information out there. Whether clients themselves are Googling Resolution together, I'm not sure. They'll definitely be Googling, can one lawyer act for us both? And, research shows that they have in the past, and that search is increasing. I've had many a call by a client to say, my wife and I are fairly amicable. We've reached agreement together. Can you help us get this over the line? If someone had called me and said that about a year ago, my instinct as a divorce lawyer, and any lawyer considering all our rules and regs, is, goodness me, no, you can't act for two clients. No, I can act for your wife or I can act for you, but no, I'm sorry, I couldn't assist both of you. And I even thought to myself, well, hang on, if they have reached an amicable agreement, what is stopping us? And I think many of family lawyers kind of given that some thought, and this has had the drive for Resolution to obviously introduce this new model. I think it's a bit of both. I think there is more publications and more information out there for clients. Hopefully many family lawyers are advertising this now, and we're informing our clients right at the outset that this is an option. But also organically, it just feels right, following on from no fault divorce, that parties themselves are thinking, well, we can divorce together, so surely we can sort the finances together.
There's almost a regressive feel to turning around to somebody who is at a point at which they are relatively amicable and saying, no, at this point we have to start being at loggerheads again, isn't there?
Yeah.
You talk about bringing other professionals and expertise into the equation. Who leads that? Is that you as the lawyer that leads it?
I suppose, yes, probably a bit of both, really. I mean, it's just as the conversations progress. So, for example, my first meeting with both parties, so we call this the first joint meeting. Let's say, for example, there had been an affair. So one person had been unfaithful. And it was clear that whilst there's been acceptance and an acknowledgement of that, let's say that the party just couldn't get over that. They were hurt and it was a hurdle. And I know that they're not digesting the legal advice because that's all they can focus on right now. That would be me identifying that there's an issue here that we need to resolve in order to move forward, to make as much progress as we can. And it's often the case, isn't it, that one party's, emotionally moved on than the other, because normally it's one party that communicates their decision to end a marriage. So if I'm alive to that, I could say and suggest to the parties, would a divorce coach be beneficial right now to for both of you to go away and have a chat with a divorce coach to address some of these issues, and then we come back after a few weeks and we talk again. Or so that's kind of the emotional side. But from a legal point, let's say that there was a pension in dispute, and I would obviously then be looking up to both parties to say, I cannot, as your family divorce lawyer, I cannot advise you as to what the right pension share would be at the moment. So I think it's appropriate we bring in an expert now. So it's, or one party could say that themselves. They could say, I clearly know that I'm entitled to a share of my spouse's pension, but I think we need to bring someone in here to report on it. So it's a suggestion from the parties, the lawyer, no right or wrong, really.
Have you found yourself in a situation yet, and I appreciate that this is still early days, where you might start out with the best of intentions, but actually at some point there has to be a split, there's a schism between the two parties?
Yeah, and this is something that was on my radar when I undertook the training, actually, because I thought, if two parties come to me and they're fairly amicable, as you could be, on separation, and they believe they've reached an amicable settlement, and then I take a look at it and I know that this is wholly unfair to one party, and maybe I've got real concerns, actually, that a judge wouldn't approve the consent order. It wouldn't be in their best interest if I didn't highlight those issues to them. So it's always been on my radar that, what if I'm the one that upsets the apple cart here? They've come to me because they want this mutually beneficial decision. They're amicable. And I've said, I'm the family lawyer to help you do this together. But I'm now the one that, upsets the apple cart, so to speak. But that would be in both parties' best interest that I did that, because it would be wrong to send a consent order to the court or even get the parties to sign it, knowing that there's real issues here. That goes against the grain of what resolution together is, what I am about as a family lawyer. So there are going to be delicate situations. Now, the benefit with resolution together is that I can highlight that it would be best now that they go and seek independent legal advice on perhaps this one issue that's a bit of a sticking point for everyone. And obviously I've highlighted to them both. So again, that's the benefit. We pause the process. They can go and get independent legal advice, because of course my advice to them both is jointly beneficial. I don't give advice, or wouldn't, that would benefit one over the other. So that's where I would then step back as their resolution together lawyer. They go and get independent legal advice. And that's another benefit of this process, that I work so collaboratively with other family lawyers, and I can positively say to my new resolution together clients, I think you should go and give this lawyer a call, because I know that they're going to give, very sound, measured advice. And then they come back and having that independent legal advice, or speaking to an expert or anyone else, and then we overcome it and we move on. So it's a really holistic process, one which I'm really positive about.
What prompted the decision to introduce this is a service in the firm. I gather that you're the champion, if you like, for it for Wilsons.
Yeah, so we're really open at Wilsons in our family team to finding any new creative ways to help our clients. That's our overall aim as family lawyers. You know, we're people pleasers, we're problem solvers, so we have to be open to new ways, especially against the current backlogs in our court system. And everyday life stresses that our clients have. So we're always open to new ways of resolution. And I think I and the team, we identified how family law is changing. It's a more holistic approach. It's a creative approach, bringing others in, because we cannot solve all problems in a relationship and the finances thereafter and child arrangements. So we identified a need for it as well, again, following on from no fault divorce. It felt the right time now to start advertising this. Just being alert to, clients are asking for a slightly different service these days, and we're really proud to now offer that to them.
One of the things that I've been particularly impressed by with the development of some of these initiatives, and I'm thinking as well about the expertise of divorce coaches and that kind of thing, is the level of training that goes into them. We're not just assuming that people are going to pick this up and run with it. We're investing some time, and you've gone away and invested some time in this as well. What sort of training, what kind of thing have you done that's enabled you to bring this into the firm?
There are quite a few family lawyers offering this service now. Many different firms are calling it different things, one lawyer, two clients, etc. We at Wilsons are proud to include the Resolution Together branding and name in the service, and that's because I have undertaken the training. The training that Resolution provided, ultimately it was 40 to 50 hours of training. Now, we're all qualified family lawyers, but do we have the skills to identify when there could be potential safeguarding issues at play when I meet with one client initially before we have the first initial joint meeting? Am I really alert to domestic abuse and in the different ways that can portray itself? And as I say, safeguarding issues, capacity checks. So there was a real focus on our training, very importantly, on domestic abuse and safeguarding. And that was about 10 hours of training that we had. So all of those concerns are on our radar, and we're slightly more alert to it than we would be. These skills are so important as family lawyers anyway. Overall, there was 40 to 50 hours training, to include training on domestic abuse, safeguarding, the essential skills needed to offer this service to our clients, the general principles and procedures surrounding all of this, because of course there's lots of regulation that we need to bear in mind, and to protect ourselves, our clients, the firm, and just alert even more to all the out of court dispute resolution options that there are, because during the Resolution Together process, the one lawyer, two clients, this may not suit everyone, and it may be suitable at the start, but then after a few sessions, it may start to not be the right model for these clients. So it's just important that all out of court dispute resolution models are on my radar, even more so than before, so I can highlight to the client when they may need now to take early evaluation from counsel, or actually mediation may even help them overcome one of the issues that we can't in our sessions. There was lots of training expertly given by Resolution, really insightful skills that have led to me being confident now in offering this service, because it does go against the grain as a family lawyer to now be helping both clients, and I think as a family lawyer, when you are acting for one client, you do take pride in identifying a point that the other side haven't picked up on, and highlighting a point of law that strengthens your case. We're lawyers, that's what we do. So it is a slight mindset change of now it's not about, well, was it ever winning, losing? That I don't like referring to it as that. But yeah, it's definitely a mindset change now to act for both clients, to find that mutually beneficial overall settlement. But all the skills that I've gathered along the way in that training, invaluable. Yeah.
You're quite right, of course, to correct my alternative dispute to out of court dispute. And that's a really important change in the language, isn't it? You know, the fact that dispute resolution should no longer be alternative, but in fact it should be mainstream. I mean, are we getting better as a profession at providing that information at the outset, do you think, to couples?
There's some way to go, in my opinion. There is. I'm really passionate about out of court dispute resolution, and that's one of the reasons I suppose I'm championing resolution together as well. It's been on my radar for a while, and the outset of my client meetings, I make sure that clients are aware of all of these options, because many clients aren't, and I think it's our job as family lawyers to promote all of these new options for clients. You know, if we're not telling them about it, how will they know? And I was at a recent breakfast meeting, actually hosted by a very well respected firm of family chambers, and we were talking about this at breakfast, and the general consensus from most family lawyers on the table was that there is still some pushback from other family lawyers surrounding out of court dispute resolution. I don't know if I have the answer as to why that is, but I know the family team within Wilsons and many of our colleagues that we work together very well are really promoting this now. And of course, it is positive and it's working, because the government have responded to the Ministry of Justice consultation paper supporting early resolution of private family law arrangements. The upshot being is that we have a change to our rules and procedures, partly enforced on the 8th of April, partly enforced on the 29th of April. So it's coming in soon. And, you know, family lawyers, well, they should be aware of this already, that, you know, it's part of these new rules and the changes. Parties now need to confirm to the courts, when they are litigating, their views on non-court dispute resolution, and, you know, perhaps even further is to explain why they haven't explored one of the options. So I suppose, you know, the upshot is that if it wasn't working, the court wouldn't be asking parties to now confirm this. So yeah, there's a real push. I think it's been gathering momentum for a while, but as I say, following the no-fault divorce, this feels the right time. It's all starting to come together, but I do believe there still needs to be a bigger push from family lawyers promoting this to our clients.
Momentum is hugely important with something like this, isn't it, in terms of just getting the profession behind it and getting them bought into it. And I've heard, you know, similar sentiment that there's still some way to go on that front. I mean, courts are still hugely oversubscribed. It's interesting, though, to hear you say that this is a natural progression and evolution from no-fault divorce. What's the impact on your own caseload been, and have you been able to minimize the time that you spend in court, for example?
So ultimately, yes, actually. There are cases when you need judicial intervention. You know, there absolutely are. There is a time and a place to file your client's Form A and get this case before a judge. But there is a push for out-of-court dispute resolution. And even when I myself have filed my client's Form A, you know, and we are in financial remedy proceedings, I still highlight to my clients that, but we are now in a process, the timetable has been set, but there's nothing stopping us exploring non-court dispute resolution as we go through this process. And obviously with the new rule change, we need to be doing that anyway. No, but I suppose the impact on my caseload, you know, have I been in court less? I suppose I would probably conclude by saying, yes, I have. I think one of the issues that is going to come to light soon is that following no-fault divorce, many clients filed their own, either sole or joint application. But did they really know that they still had to sort the finances and obtain that final financial remedy order, you know? And I think there is going to be a surge of inquiries in the not too distant future about parties having dealt with their divorce themselves and finally now realising that they did need to sort the finances as well. So whilst there's so many positives about no fault divorce and non-court dispute resolution, it's still up to us as family lawyers to fly the flag and promote what still needs to be done to take this to their conclusion. And the resolution together model, one of the many benefits is I, as their family lawyer, can prepare the consent order, file it with the court on their behalf, and deal with implementation. There's many similarities to mediation, but mediation doesn't go far enough and gives that jointly beneficial advice. And the mediator, cannot file the consent order, can't sign it on their behalf, whereas the resolution together does go one step forward and beyond, and we can do that. As family lawyers, as I say, we're problem solvers. We want the best overall outcome for both of our clients, the wider family, and of course the children. And if we can now play a part in reaching that overall resolution to help our clients and the wider family, and we keep these cases out of court, and they're, that they don't have the pressures and the stress that a court environment can bring, and they're not another case in the case list waiting to be listed. If we can play a part in that, then we should, and I feel very strongly about that.
We've all but run out of time, and it's been fantastic to have you on the podcast, Lisa. Thank you. The takeaway for me, and I'm particularly interested in this final point you make about what might be coming around the corner in terms of the financial issues that couples are going to face, that for me is wrapped up in this whole unbundling conversation that the SRA and the LSB are talking about. And it's particularly prevalent in family where, as you say, you can go and do your own now, but it's still so important that you get that legal advice and ensure that you close the case properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know if I was a client and I wanted to instruct a lawyer to help me with the ending of my relationship, my marriage, my child arrangements, cohabitation disputes, anything under the umbrella of family law, clients put their trust in lawyers and the firm that they're instructing, and they sometimes wrongly, depending on the retainer, but they assume that we are going to deal with everything. We are there to tie up all loose ends, and clients won't know that their loose ends aren't tied up if we don't highlight those issues to them and help them. And it may not be that they want that service, but it's really important that we highlight that to them. And lay clients, how would they have known that they needed to sort their finances on divorce when they dealt with their joint application? That they received that final order and they would assume it's all sorted. Who told them it wasn't? So we need to be advertising this to our clients right from the outset. It's really important. Yeah, we're there to tie up their loose ends, and we make that clear to them. And again, with the resolution together model, that would be communicated them right at the outset, as well as all other non-court dispute resolution models that they could entertain. So they've got that wealth of information, whether they choose to listen, to adhere to it, that's them, but they've got the information. Unbundling, it's very dangerous, and I do think there will be an influx of instructions from clients having dealt with their divorce but not the finances coming our way. Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, that in itself causes more problems for the parties. The passage of time, what's happened between divorce and sorting their finances, what's happened in the time that they've separated and sorting child arrangements between them. The child's now older, their wishes and feelings come into more play, causes lots of problems. And I think as family lawyers, we really need to highlight to our clients right at the start. Unbundling is dangerous, and we're here to tie up the loose ends, and we need to do that.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
Thanks very much indeed, Lisa, for sharing your thoughts and your insight as well on the podcast.
You're very, very welcome. Thanks for having me.
The Today's Family Lawyer podcast is available on your preferred podcast provider. It's also available on today'sfamilylawyer.co.uk. My thanks to Lisa. Thank you as ever for listening, and we'll see you again soon.
You're listening to the Today's Family Lawyer podcast, the leading source of daily news and insight for family law practitioners in England and Wales. Sign up to our free weekly newsletter at today'sfamilylawyer.co.uk and subscribe to hear all the latest news and views from across the family law sector. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter.